Hello, and welcome to the We Recommend podcast. This is a movie podcast where every week we recommend a movie for you to watch and then come back here and listen to us discuss. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Jason.
And I hope you like dags, because this week we recommend Snatch.
This is the first film directed and starred by a dog.
Yeah, it's completely directed by a dog. Dog's name's Guy Ritchie. And the dog is also named Brad Pitt. So what's your story with this movie? Why'd you recommend it this week?
I used to watch it all the time,
Mhm.
and I don't know, it's always just kind of fun. And I love British humor.
Yeah.
I love dumb criminals.
That is one thing with, just the things that they say and how they talk. Almost every time after Jason Statham said something, me and Natalie look at each other and just repeat it. Just because the way that he talks. Which I just love Jason Statham because he's always got just this raspy voice. I can't do it, Jason Statham.
I really liked him in this movie. He didn't fight anybody, which is fun.
I know. He's really just kind of a character that everything happens to him. He's just like, will everyone please work with me correctly here? And nothing goes his way because old Mickey.
The movie's great. It's a diamond heist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is Guy Ritchie's second movie. Have you ever seen Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels?
I have seen it.
I tried to start watching it in college and couldn't understand a word anybody was saying.
Was it before captions were invented?
They have I think what I was watching, I don't know how I was watching it, but I wasn't able to turn on subtitles, and I can't do it. Can't do this. I can't understand what they're saying. So I always meant to watch it, but I never did. But it's funny because, let me see if I can find the thing. In response to some of the criticism of his previous film, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, people complained that you couldn't understand everybody's thick Cockney accents. It was super difficult to understand. So Guy Ritchie created the character of Mickey in Snatch to be super hard to understand on purpose. It's like the joke that not only can the viewer not understand, but also the characters in the story can't understand. I was like, that's so funny.
Except for the rest of the pikeys.
Yeah, they can understand. Is that a derogatory term? What does that mean?
I mean, I'm guessing it's I don't know what the term that they want to be called is.
Well, they call them
definitely not pikeys.
They call them gypsies.
Or gypsies. Gypsies, that's a bad.
That's also something you're not supposed to.
Don't say that one.
Are you not? I don't know.
I can't remember the actual name, but we'll just go with pikeys because that's what they call them in this movie.
So this film stars Jason Statham. He plays Turkish. Brad Pitt is Mickey. Vinnie Jones is Tony. Love Vinnie Jones. And then Benicio del Toro plays Frankie. Benicio del Toro always doing something weird in a movie.
Frankie, was his Four Fingers?
Frankie Four Fingers.
Yeah, because he gets the chop.
Yeah. And you have Stephen Graham, Tommy. Alan Ford is Bricktop. Love that.
Yeah, he's great.
Love him. He's so good. Dennis Farina? Oh my gosh. I can't believe I'm blanking on it. He plays Avi. And then Robbie G is playing Vinny. God, I think their part is probably my favorite part, especially when they're in the car to go to the bookies. That whole section is just great. Oh man! So Snatch was largely successful, critically and financially. I guess some of the critics had issues with it, but some didn't. Some was fine. But it's developed a pretty devoted cult following, which Jason is a part of, apparently.
I'm part of a cult.
This is what, episode 13? No, this is gonna be episode 15, I believe. It's our 15th straight movie with a cult following.
Can't say.
It had a budget of $10 million, and the film grossed worldwide $83 million. So hey. It's one of the first movies we did that actually made some money. Let's go. So Roger Ebert gave the film a 2 out of 4 stars, writing that ostensibly Rooted in the London underworld, Pitt's Irish traveler community were the most interesting element of the plot, and the film's clearest predecessors were all American, like Dick Tracy comics and like zany Marx Brothers comedies. He raised the question of what am I to say of Snatch, Ritchie's new film, which follows the lock stock formula so slavishly it could be like a new arrangement of the same song.
Yeah,
So
I can see
essentially,
that.
some people just, kind of was like wanted him to progress more than he did.
Kind of just made the same movie, but
Yeah.
with Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Why not?
I don't.
Evil Dead 2, anybody?
Yeah.
But talking of Guy Ritchie, like, have you seen a lot of his other movies, like Rock and Rolla? I'm sure you've seen
No.
the 2 Sherlock Holmes movies that he did with RDJ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were great.
I remember liking the first one. I've also been
I liked
meaning
the
to
second
watch
one,
The
too.
Man from U.N.C.L.E. Did you ever
Never,
watch
no.
that? And then he did a King Arthur movie.
That's weird.
Stop doing King Arthur movies. We're done. We've moved past them. And then he did Aladdin, which is hit or miss. I felt like there's some parts that I really liked, some parts that I was like, I could just watch the old one, you know? They're too long. Those Disney movies are too long.
Yeah, they're pretty long, but
The cartoons are barely an hour and 30 minutes, and
Yeah.
these movies are over 2 hours.
and they rule.
What are you adding? And then he's he's been doing, so he did Aladdin and The Gentleman, same year. And 2 years later, Wrath of Man. And he keeps doing like very similar movies, which is kind of cool. You know, he's back to his gangster movies.
He gets something that works and he just runs with it till the wheels fall off.
Yeah, right.
Try something new.
It's just, I find it so weird that he decided to, like the same person that did Snatch was like, I want to do a King Arthur movie, the true story of King Arthur,
I'm sure that was
which they eventually just started doing with all. That's just a very typical Hollywood thing. Like Dracula Untold, the untold story of Dracula. It's he a vampire, he bite people. What else does he do?
He rides on that boat.
And then
the Demeter.
They did now they got that. It's like, hey, you know, in the book where it's like 3 pages about how he got to, wherever he got, I don't know where he went. It's like, well, we're just gonna tell you about what happened on that boat. It's like, okay,
Yeah, it was probably like a 3 or 4 month boat ride.
right?
So
It's like,
a lot
what
of
do you do?
people-
Eat people? Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
He ate a bunch of dudes. He saves one.
Oh, does he?
Oh, spoiler alert. Sorry. If you don't know the entire story of Dracula by now.
I don't actually.
One dude lives.
I've never really watched a Dracula movie or read the book. I own the book and I've always meant to watch it, but I just never did.
Yeah, his little henchman dude.
Spoilers. Renfield?
I mean, classically, I haven't seen the movie Demeter. They could have changed it. But yeah, Renfield. Well, it could be. Oh God, no, I don't know.
Renfield.
But like he got on the boat.
I'm on a boat.
He's going fast and sucking
There's a
blood out
Dracula
of his- Anyway, I think that's how the story goes. I don't know.
Go read
Maybe
Dracula.
there's a whale too.
I might. I probably won't. It's a big book. I ain't got time now.
Do you watch that series about Dracula?
Oh, which one?
It's about
Oh,
where he like lives until the future.
is it the license plate that says Nosferatu?
I don't think so. I
It
don't
was like
think
a
he has a
AMC.
car.
I just remember it's got Zachary Quinton in it, the guy from Heroes and Margin Call.
I don't know.
Anywho, so having been a huge fan of Guy Ritchie's first film, Brad Pitt approached the director and asked for a part in his next project. Ritchie was obviously more than happy to cast Bradley Pitts in Snatch.
Yes, Mr. Pitts.
He was initially supposed to be Turkish. That ended up being played by Jason Statham. But however, he found that Pitt couldn't do a very convincing London accent, leaving him with few options for characters to play. But Pitt could do a so-so Irish accent, so he ended up playing...
Definitely gibberish.
Yeah, so he ended up playing One Punch Mickey. It's just funny.
It's so awesome. He's my favorite character.
Yeah, I know. I wish he was in it more. Like, I felt like he's not even in it enough. But, I mean, it's fine because the whole movie... That's the one thing about this movie. It's just... filled with great characters.
Yeah, there's lots of
They're
them.
all hilarious and just witty.
Doris the Blade.
It's a very witty movie. I love it. The role of Bricktop was offered to Sean Connery.
Yeah, I
which
can
is
see
cool.
Sean Connery turning this down.
He was interested in it enough to watch his first movie, and so Guy Ritchie set up a screening for him so he could watch it. And he showed up and watched it, but he said that they wouldn't be able to afford him. It's like, you knew they weren't going to be able to afford you in the first place, so why'd you even do this? Jerk. Probably went on to do Entrapment instead. Whatever. So, Vinnie Jones, there's, when they're out at the bookies?
When they're robbing it?
Yeah. Well, so there's like a point where... So there's the point where Vinny and Soul are sitting outside the bookies ready to hand over the diamond, and Bullet Tooth Tony approaches them.
Oh, it's so cool.
Well, so Vinny Jones was in jail after getting into a fight the night before, so he wasn't able to turn up on set, and instead a lookalike was brought on board to fill in the role. I was like, dang, I didn't notice.
That's great.
And so... To get into character as Mickey, Brad Pitt decided not to wash himself very often while Snatch was in production. This apparently this helped give him the kind of scummy, dirty appearance that the role required.
Yeah, it worked.
Did you have your smell-o-vision on? Because you could smell him if you turned it on.
No. I don't know. I guess you can kind of smell that.
Yeah.
That place where he lives.
It's pretty funny because, Brad Pitt didn't have to do that. He could have. I mean, he's like a big actor. He didn't have to do any of that. So Ritchie has often been equated as the British counterpart of Quentin Tarantino, apparently.
Huh.
So I guess in Snatch, there's a direct homage paid to Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs. During the opening scene in Snatch, jewel thieves disguise the Jewish people,
the priest,
the rabbis looking people, yeah,
robbing rabbis,
and they're discussing the Virgin Mary. This is like a direct reference to the beginning of Reservoir Dogs, in which the table of thieves philosophize over the meaning of Madonna's Like a Virgin. And it's funny because Ritchie and Madonna would be married for 4 short months after Snatch was released.
Man.
They had to pay $1 million to get one of her songs in the movie.
Wow.
$1 million out of a $10 million budget. Yeah. That's the whole setup for the movie.
I wish I was Madonna.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty cool lady, huh?
Yeah, I didn't see the homage there in the beginning. I just thought it was cool.
I guess it's just because they're talking about
just dudes
this
talking
philosophizing about stuff, which the whole thing is what they're saying, that the Virgin Mary was a mistranslation.
Yeah, there was just like one word for virgin mistranslated.
Because it was actually a young woman instead of virgin.
Yeah.
Which breaks down everything.
Yeah.
But so we're gonna get into the film.
I love how they talk. He's just like lifting his belly, like, so.
Yeah.
They're so funny.
The film opens as we see a boxing promoter named Turkish, played by Jason Statham, and his naive partner Tommy, played by Stephen Graham. And they're just like sitting in front of this like unknown man that we don't know yet in London. Turkish is giving this brief narration about all the circumstances, and then the movie takes off.
That's Avi, though, right?
No, not sitting in front of him. I think
okay.
it's Doug the Head, right?
Yeah, Doug the Head. That's who it is.
Spoiler. And then this is where we jump to, how do you say it? Antwerp?
Yes.
Antwerp. And we see that there's just a bunch of Jewish men walking and talking throughout this building.
On security camera footage.
One of the guy gets flagged for having something metal in his belt or whatever. And he's,
what do you think I should do?
What do you think
Drop my pants.
Drop my pants?
Okay, no, it's definitely not a gun.
Yeah, right?
Go, get in there, you crazy kids.
And so they go in, and you get in there and you think they're a part of it, and then they He lifts up,
Yeah.
takes off his shirt, and he pulls out like there's a bunch of guns. All the
He's got
guys
so
grab
many
them.
guns.
It's so cool. And this is where you see how wacky this movie's gonna be with the camera work.
It makes you sick a little bit.
I was watching, I was like, just turning my head, like, whoa, what is this?
Nauseous, so nauseous.
I guess because I haven't seen a Guy Ritchie movie in forever. Like, especially at the beginning of his career, I was like, what is happening? I forgot that he's a very kinetic director.
Filmed by dogs also.
Yeah. They just put a dog in the room and just let him run around, just doing flips and jumps. And so we see that they get
the diamonds.
Yeah, they get like an 86 carat diamond,
The big one.
which loses its value like every time it changes hand, because every time they say it, it goes from like 86 to 85 to 84.
Oh, really? No, I didn't
Yeah.
notice that. Maybe they're just shaving bits of it off.
Yeah, they're just like, I need some. And we go back to Turkish and Tommy. They're preparing for a big bout using their premier boxer, Gorgeous George.
Bare knuckle boxing.
Bare knuckle. God, I couldn't do it. And so this is where they have the whole conversation about just like they need a new caravan. Because they're in this like rundown, like
So
underneath a
shitty.
bridge, it looks like almost. So bad.
Turkish is not doing so hot.
Yeah, definitely not. He's got the guy cooking him sausages. How much longer to those sausages? 2 Turkish.
2 minutes Turkish.
5 minutes later. How much longer to those sausages? 5 minutes. He said 2 minutes 5 minutes ago. That was a good Jason Statham right there. I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Just give Turkish a sausage.
But apparently Tommy, like he notices. So they're talking about going to get a new caravan. It's like, hey, go take this money and go get us a caravan with the pikes, I guess. Right? That's what they call them?
Yeah,
Pikes?
the
I don't know which one to
pikeys.
say. Gypsies or pikes? Which one's
I
better?
think just,
Which
maybe
one's
just
less
pikeys.
offensive?
I think pikeys. I don't know.
And so he has like a small firearm that we see a little
Small
cut.
This is not
Yeah,
small.
It's a ginormous
It's
gun
pretty big.
that he bought from Boris the Blade,
Oh, who's the best?
a Russian guy.
So funny.
Yeah.
The weight is a sign of reliability.
Yeah. We learned that Turkish and Tommy run like a slot machine business on the side. And this is to compensate for the illegal boxing that they participate in. And so,
But everybody also knows that Boris the Blade sells bad guns
Yeah.
that don't work.
yeah, he's just like a like, what do you say, black market arms dealer? Yeah.
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 It's very, very shifty.
Meanwhile,
Kinda
while
funny.
all this has happened, Avi tells Frankie to contact a jewelry retailer, Doug the Head, about the diamond that he stole. And Doug is a non-Jewish person that lives in a Jewish community.
Pretending to be Jewish.
Yeah, he wears like the yarmulke and everything. And so he tells Frankie to contact Doug. And then Doug contacts Avi saying that, look, he's going to appraise the diamond. Everything's going to be okay. Avi's telling Frankie, don't gamble. Because Frankie, 4 fingers,
Bad again.
has 4 fingers because he doesn't pay his debts to gambling. And then Avi's telling, like, hey, keep a close eye on Frankie. You never know what's going to happen. And so one of Frankie's men from the beginning is the brother of the ex-KGB gangster Boris the Blade.
Oh, and he calls Boris.
Yeah, and he's AKA Boris the Bullet Dodger. Named due to his unique ability to defy death.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Can't kill this dude.
and so Boris lures Frankie to buy a gun from him, and also he talks him into placing a bet at the fight. I'm sure he'll make it and nothing bad will
Nothing
happen.
bad will happen.
I mean, this is pretty much just so because he's Boris is cooking up a scheme to end up stealing the diamond himself.
Yeah, everybody wants it.
Yeah, man. So when I watched it last night for the first time, I was like, wait, who's doing what? It got very confusing very fast. I was like, hold on. I'm still wrapping my head around all the names of the people because they all end in Y. I think while an important plot was going on, I was kind of making fun of how all the gangsters have very gangster sounding names like Tommy, Frankie, Mickey. It's like, dude, is this the only type of name they can give people here? So, and this is also whenever he's talking to Boris, this is where Benicio del Toro always does weird mannerisms when he's in movies. I don't know if you ever watched The Last Jedi.
I did.
So he's the one that, what's their name? Finn and Rose are looking for, or they're not looking for him, but
He's the droid they're looking for?
Actually, no, they're looking for someone else, but fall into the hands of him, and he's got like this weird stutter and stuff, and it's just something Benicio del Toro came up with.
Oh, so cool.
He's always doing stuff like that. It's always funny, and
What's
he's just
his
got a weird
thing
accent.
in this one?
Well, it's just
Is it the having a wardrobe in the back of his car?
That was
changing all the time.
His wardrobes in this movie is hilarious.
I know, it's great. I wish I had a wardrobe like that.
I just think it's the accent he chose. Or just the way he's talking. I'm like,
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be a bigger part of this movie, but really he's out of it.
Yeah,
Like,
pretty early.
in the first 30 minutes, after 30 minutes, he's just got a bag on his head. Poor Frankie.
Okay.
It's so
I
great.
don't know where to. Okay.
We'll get there. So Tommy goes to the campsite accompanied by Gorgeous George. That's where we meet Mikey, or as some people call him,
Mickey?
One Punch Mickey.
I think it's Mickey.
Mickey. It's
He's not a
Mickey.
Ninja Turtle.
That's my
Jesse.
bad. I actually spelled it Mickey. I'm just saying Mikey like an idiot. He's just like, I don't know. He's just a part of this
"Oh,
pikey camp. And so they're there.
you
He's
come here
really
for the
funny.
caravan?"
Like we meet him by he's just taking a poop next to a car, I guess. I don't know. It's so weird. And like all these little kids are like digging through Gorgeous George's pockets and stuff.
Picking his pockets.
Yeah.
This place makes me so.
They're all trying to scam when new people come in. And he's talking about like, oh, all right, let's do business. You want a caravan? Come in. And this is when we get the famous line. Do you like dags? What? Dags. Do you like dags? Oh, you mean dogs?
Sure, I like dogs.
Yeah, I like dags.
I like caravans more.
But
and then, like, apparently that was an agreement to take a dog.
Yeah. Well, so we learn later it's like you can't do a deal with them without having a dog. Having one of the dogs,
it's thrown in on the deal.
It's a part of the deal. I don't understand it.
Too many dogs.
Which later we'll figure out why. I guess they have it because it seems that the dogs will snatch something and run back to camp.
Just
Sounds like the name of the movie.
eats all the valuables.
Yeah, right. So, and they buy the caravan, but as they're leaving, the wheels of the caravan immediately fall off.
What am I gonna do with the caravan with no fucking wheels?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll give it back to you. Don't worry about it. But so they're trying to get their money back, but Mickey refuses, and they're all getting riled up, and Mickey's like, "Okay, how about we fight me for it?"
I'll fight you for it.
Yeah, and Gorgeous George's obviously gonna win, right?
Yeah, Gorgeous George is huge.
This part is so good though,
Yeah.
because Mickey is just getting the crap beat out of him by this giant dude, and he's just trying to take his hat and stuff off. It's like watching it, I know that he's gonna win, obviously, but
I don't know. Like he kind of gets the shit kicked out of him.
before I really knew that he was like a one punch type guy,
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, he's gonna, I don't know, find a way to like disable his legs and then just wail on him or something.
Like IP man.
Yeah, but he's getting the crap beat out of him. They throws him through the fence. They throw him back up. He takes off his shirt. And in one punch, knocks Gorgeous George
so
out.
Awesome. He takes off his shirt and then he's like, "It's not over till the fight's done." Everybody gets quiet. Like, oh fuck.
He grabs his arm and just punches him, and he falls. So,
In the balls?
No, he falls. He falls. It's so cool though.
Oh yeah, they think
gosh.
he's dead.
Yeah, and you have like people are arguing around Tommy. Tommy's just sitting there, and
Like,
there's the
oh,
whole
shit.
narration. It's like, he's in a bit of trouble, he is. Because if he doesn't wake up, then they're going to end up burying Tommy as well. And you just see Tommy starts crying.
Tommy.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Poor Tommy.
I'm just glad he didn't try to use his gun because he would
well, he knew
be murdered. He didn't know at that time that it didn't work.
Yeah. Okay, right.
He figures that out later. So Tommy reports back to Turkish about the bad news regarding gorgeous George, but tells Turkish about Mickey's mean left cross. So they go and visit Bricktop, and Bricktop is super pissed that Gorgeous George is not going to fight due to all the bets that were placed on him, which leads to the complication in Boris's plan later with like Saul and all them. Yeah.
Right.
Turkish, he's pretty desperate, turns to Mickey, who says he'll do the fight if the guys buy his mother a new caravan. I love it because there's a part where they show, he's like, it's like, we were trying to buy a caravan off of you. Now you want a caravan? It's not for me. And then he like hands a picture and it's their mother who's wearing the same shirt as the curtains behind her. So funny.
And she's got that big smile. She's so sweet. And
then Tommy's just like, he just gives this like genuinely like funny smile. Like, what is this?
His ma.
Yeah.
It's where's mom?
But they tell him that he has to take a dive in the 4th round. And Mickey obliges them. We'll see if that works out. So to get the diamond, Boris hires some inept pawnbrokers, Vinny and Soul, to rob the bookies that are
taking bets for that fight.
Taking bets for the fight, yes.
Right.
And they believe that Frankie is going to go in there with a briefcase. And once they see him go in, they're going to go in to rob him. But Boris explains that he gets the briefcase and they'll get all the cash that they get from the robbery. And so Vinny and Soul, they enlist the getaway driver named Tyrone. And Soul, he did a deal with the Pikeys. And so because he did a deal with them, he also got a dog.
He got the dog in the bag of gold.
Which whenever Boris comes in, the dog runs out. And apparently ran back to the camp that they were all staying at. So Tyrone and the two of them, and Tyrone's like a guy that's so large he can't even get out of the car.
He's trying to get out of the car. It takes
forever, yeah. It's awesome.
Of course I have.
And he's like obsessed with the dog, telling him like, don't let him pee on my...
Don't stop that dog from dribbling on my seats.
Yeah, it's like, it's not your car.
It's a stolen car.
Tyrone, you stole the car. I just love how much he says Tyrone's name.
Ain't you, Tyrone?
Yeah.
Of course I am.
Tyrone, are you even able to drive? Tyrone, there was a car, a giant van behind you, Tyrone. He just backs straight into it. So but the dog starts attacking Vinny while he's in the front seat.
The worst dog.
He's like, oh, he just wants the chew toy. He immediately swallows a chew toy.
And now this dog, it makes a squeaky noise every time it barks, which is a lot.
It's so great.
It's the most annoying dog in the world.
He's just sitting there pressing on it like, squeak. Oh, man. So Frankie meets with Doug the Head to get the diamond appraised and tells Doug about the fight. And Frankie goes and parks his van in front of the bookies, and Saul, Vinny, and Tyrone are there with just they're waiting for a guy with 4 fingers and a briefcase attached to him to go into it. But the pawnbrokers, they crash into the van, knocking out Frankie. And the pawnbrokers just stake out the bookies until it's time. Meanwhile, Turkish is getting super nervous about the fight and urges Mickey to go down in the 4th. He's just constantly telling him, go down in the 4th, go down in the 4th. And as soon as the fight begins, Mickey knocks him out.
In one punch.
And now Bricktop is not very happy because he told everybody there that, like all the big, I guess, fellow gangsters and businessmen that, hey, in the 4th, Mickey's going down. So put all your bets there. You have one guy comes up to Bricktop and he's like, I can't believe you told me that you'll do that. And he just like slams him against the thing.
Yeah.
What does he say?
He says, if I throw a dog a bone, I don't want to know whether it tastes good or not.
Yes.
And then he stabs him in his dick or something.
Such a good line. So Vinny and Soul, they see a guy walk into the bookie, and so they decide to rob him. When they enter the building and draw their guns, the girl working the counter is like, "Do you know whose shop this is?"
She's
Close it.
immediately like, you guys are idiots.
Yeah.
She hands him a bag of coins.
Yeah.
And then he puts his shotgun down.
First, as soon as they walk in and it says something, she presses a button and like all the windows and everything is blocked by this giant wall inside. And then you have Soul like in between the wall and the ceiling because he tried to jump out. And he like shoots a wall with his shotgun and then points it at her. It's like, undo the walls.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was really cool.
Through the wall, yeah.
Yeah. And so,
you okay, Vinny? He's like, stop using my name.
Yeah. And so when she lets down the wall, Vinny falls to the ground, and Soul tells the girl to hand over the money. She said, there is no money since all the bets are off. There's only these few coins, and it's just a bag, and they get so upset. And when he places down the shotgun for a second, the girl grabs it and fires it at him and closes all the windows. They can't get out. They're trying to get out the door, but they can't. So he fires his gun at it at the door, trying to break the glass. And the bullet starts ricocheting, and it hits Vinny in the leg.
No, it busts the coin back.
Yeah.
It doesn't even hit him.
I know. And both men take off their masks, only see a security camera looking straight at them. And then Tyrone just pushes the doors open. And the three run back to their cars. It's like classic. They pushed when they should have pulled.
Then Tyrone gets out, grabs Frankie,
because they start driving, and then Tyrone gets out, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he grabs Frankie. And well, we're looking for a man with a briefcase and 4 fingers, right? Well, this man's got 4 fingers and a briefcase attached to his arm, and they bring him with them. It's funny. Oh God, that's so good.
And then wait. Does it go straight to where they meet Boris back at the pawn shop?
Ooh, I can't remember. I think we go to the Turkish's house where he's going back. He's got the whole narration of it's like, I got to go get my money in the safe because he's essentially gonna run.
Right.
Yeah.
But Bricktop's sitting there waiting for him. And tells him to put the kettle on.
Yeah, and he's got like all his goons there that we'll see like 500 times in this movie, but I love his goons because I don't know what the main guy is, but
they're pretty good goons.
He looks pretty familiar. I don't know what he's from though.
He's a good goon. He does everything he's supposed to do.
Yeah, and
he does it pretty good.
We find out Bricktop was impressed by Mickey's style and tells Turkish that he wants to use the gypsy in a bare knuckle fight coming up, and
Pikey.
With Pikey winner, it doesn't matter. With Mickey still going down in the 4th. Turkish agrees and Bricktop leaves, but not until taking most of Turkish's money in the safe.
Oh,
he's
takes all
so this is your safe.
Yeah.
Why don't you open it up? Poor Turkish.
I know. He's like, yeah, you want sugar? He goes, no, thanks, Turkish. I'm sweet enough.
Yeah. And so then we go and like Bricktop wants to know who's hit the bookies. So he's watching the security tape, and this is the guy that takes off the mask. They don't recognize Soul and Vinny, but one of the goons recognizes Tyrone when he opens the door.
You silly fat bastard.
And this is where Turkish and Tommy go back to find Mickey and his friends, and they're coursing. It's like a game where hungry dogs chase a hare.
Yeah, that was a cool scene.
Seems like a very old London thing to do.
Yeah.
I know that's an actual game. They have like a board game of it, actually.
That's cool.
I
love this scene though when they release the Well, they make fun of him first because he's wearing bags on his shoes.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're there to ask Mickey to fight in the bare knuckle brawl again, and Mickey tells the promoters, yeah, Mickey tells the promoters he still wants a caravan for his mother, and it's like the caravan's getting fancier and fancier as they go.
Yeah.
But he says that they'll place a bet on conditions whether he will fight or not, but fight for free, or Mickey wins in the hare and dog chase thing. That either Mickey will do it for free, or they have to buy the caravan with all the bells and whistles.
Yeah. Well, she deserves it.
Yeah.
She seems like a
She
nice
seemed like a
lady.
really nice mom. She's really worried about her son.
Or sons.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know who was a son in that group of people there. So they let the hare go and the dogs chase after it. And
The
this,
kick-ass music
yes,
scene.
this scene's great.
So cool.
Because it's intercut with Bricktop's goons
Oh,
locating
yeah.
and capturing Tyrone. And they put him in the hole with like the angry dogs that are just biting at him.
Man, they're so mean to those dogs.
Yeah, I know. That's
Bricktop like hits one with his cane.
one.
He's like,
That will be probably the ugly for me in this movie.
yeah.
And Tyrone snitches, tells Bricktop everything about the robbery. And at the same time, the hare, after some close calls, escapes with his life. Turkish has to look into getting the caravan on the drive back
Pumpernickel blue, mate.
Yeah. And on the drive back to town, Tommy tries to test out the gun that Boris sold him, but it's defective and won't fire.
Oh, man.
Poor Tommy.
Says if it doesn't work, you can just hit him with it. Yeah.
I mean, that knocks somebody out. That's a huge gun.
It was a very big gun.
Avi growing.
I love his face when he's pulling the trigger. He's like,
yeah. Scared that it's gonna hurt him. So
I love how ballsy they're just firing a weapon out of a moving vehicle.
yeah, no, I couldn't do it.
It's great.
Like whenever I went shooting for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, this is way heavier than I thought.
So only to be part of a seedy underbelly.
So Avi, growing very upset with Doug, decides to hire a troubleshooter by the name of Bullet Tooth Tony, played by Vinnie Jones.
so cool.
Hell yeah. Who, I guess his legend is that he took six bullets in one sitting and survived, and even one of them to the skull, I guess.
Or like
didn't
he dig them out and like use them to make his teeth?
Yeah, and it's like 3 of his teeth are bullets. Tony agrees to work with Avi, and the two, along with Avi's sidekick, Rosebud, go to get information. So Tony, like, there's this part where there's just like one guy talking to some people, and I guess his name is Mullet. And this is where the part where he grabs on with the street, puts his head in the car window, and starts driving down the street, and the guy's running.
Oh, man.
And Mullet spills the beans and reveals to them about the pawnbrokers, Vinny and Soul. And back at the pawn shop, Vinny and Soul are trying to dispose of Frankie's body. And when suddenly Bricktop walks in, and he explains to them the best way to dispose of the body is to feed the flesh to pigs.
Well, but it was like...
Oh, because skip the Boris part.
Yeah, because he's like, he calls him, or Soul is like, yells out Boris's name, and then Boris just pulls out a gun and shoots Frankie in the head.
Because the pawnbrokers, they brought him back to the pawn shop, and they're just like, no, we don't want the 10,000 anymore. We want half of what's in the briefcase.
We want this.
Yeah.
Half of this.
And he's like, well, you should. It's like, why did you bring him? Just cut his hand off next time. Yeah. And they kill old Frankie Four Fingers. Sad.
It was so funny that whenever Tyrone pulled him into he got out of the van and he was just like stepping around like blind with he's got some point he had the bag over his head.
Yeah.
Or was that Boris? I'm thinking of something different. Anyway, yeah, he shoots Frankie.
Yeah.
Bricktop says you gotta feed him to the pigs.
Yeah. And so then he's like, you just gotta chop them up. Then you can't feed pigs for a few days.
You gotta shave their head and pull the teeth out.
And that they'll
go through bone like butter.
They'll eat a full human in like 8 minutes if they're so hungry. And that's where you get, what is it? He says, greedy as a pig?
Greedy as a pig.
Greedy as a pig,
hence the phrase, greedy as a pig.
Yeah. So after it's the whole explaining how the pigs can just eat people, Bricktop leads them to their outer office space where he has a bunch of goons waiting, and we see these giant body bags that already have Saul and Tyrone in them and everything.
And they're sharpening their blades, and the room's covered in plastic.
Yeah, it's like huge butcher knives. Yeah.
Ugh, Dexter's kill room.
And they're essentially just going to kill him.
Was Dexter out at this point? Dexter wasn't out at this point. This came out way before that show.
Yeah,
Dexter.
way before. The books might have been out. I don't know when the books came out because they're originally books. It's so funny. You're saying Dexter, and I was like, are we talking about my cat?
Yes, we are always talking about your cat. But also the murderer. They use lots of plastic.
the serial killer with a heart of gold. So in desperation, Soul tells Bricktop about the diamond and says that they can get it to him in 4 days. Bricktop's like, no, 48 instead. 48 hours instead.
48 days.
48. I don't want you to rush.
Yeah. Why do they want him to rush? That's how mistakes happen.
Right? That's
Bricktop.
exactly. Put the mic a little closer to your face. Need to be like me and just eating. That's what I'm going.
Oh.
So Turkish meets up with Bricktop. He's telling the demands of Mickey, saying that he wants a new caravan for his mother, and Bricktop does not take that lightly.
He does not like that at all.
And he sends a message to Turkish and Tommy. He starts smashing up their slot machines. Turkish is able to knock 2 of them out with a baseball bat, which is awesome. I was like, hell yeah. He's about to like just whack all these people, but there's too many of them. They eventually get him. They're about to cut his arm off until Tommy walks in with his huge gun.
Yeah.
That's defective, but they don't know that.
Hell yeah.
And they're able to get out. And Bricktop wants to make it clear to Mickey that he's going down in the 4th. So he burns down Mickey's mother's caravan with Mickey's mother inside.
Oh, God. It's terrible.
It was a really cool shot, though.
It was
the
a
caravan
cool scene.
On fire and him like running at it. I was like, hell yeah.
All his friends holding him back.
Yeah, it was so great.
It was really
Friends or brothers, not sure yet.
Yeah. Cousins.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And so now we have back to Tony and Avi. They go over to the pawnbrokers where Vinny reveals with Tony's gun to his head that it was all Boris the Blade's idea. And for some reason, Tony is surprised to hear this name and tells Avi about Boris. So while they are waiting at Doug the Head's jewelry shop, they see Boris enter on the security
with his twin
camera.
daughters.
Yeah, yeah. Rosebud says he'll take care of Boris.
Wait, is this when Doug comes into the shop and those dudes are outside of his shop and he's like, what you doing here? They're like, it's a free country.
I don't know. That's at the very beginning when we meet Doug.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so funny.
It just doesn't sound Jewish.
Well, it's not a free shop, is it? No, fuck off.
So, and on the next cut, Rosebud, Tony, and Avi, they're all in a car and they're all a little beaten up. They got Boris and they put him inside the trunk.
Yeah.
And so they go over to Boris's house and get the diamond. The pawnbrokers don't have any guns, but they purchase some replicas.
It's so funny.
That they shoot super loud blanks.
It says
no. Tyrone calls and says that they found Boris, but before he could say that he's not alone, like he hangs up first, and they're like, "Why didn't you tell us that there were other people here?" Tyrone just looks so pissed. And then so everybody's kind of all showing up at one time, like because even Turkish and Tommy, I think, are heading that way.
Yep.
So you got all 3 of them all together, and this is where you have this crazy like car montage. It's all like intercut together, but also takes place at different times. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So you have the pawnbrokers. They're following Avi and Tony when suddenly they hit somebody standing in the street. Wow. Somebody didn't put their phone on vibrate.
My bad, y'all.
Rookie podcast mistake. And you have Turkish and Tommy. They're driving along in their Land Rover, and Tommy is explaining why it's bad for Turkish to drink milk. It's not good for the environment.
Well, he said it like people aren't meant to drink it.
Yeah, it's like we haven't evolved far enough in our...
Right.
And Tommy grabs the milk and tosses it out the window, and we hear a car crash.
Let me do you a favor. He throws it out.
It's so funny.
We hit Sonny's and Tony,
And so then we see Rosebud. We cut to Rosebud and all there in that car. They're talking about cutting him up, and Rosebud pulls out a large sword when suddenly a carton of milk splashes onto the windshield, causing Tony to crash. Tony and Avi are fine, but Rosebud has a sword sticking through him. Avi looks across the street and sees Boris tied up with a sack over his head, walking around until suddenly he gets hit by the pawnbroker's car. Oh, it's so good. I think that
he's like with his feet.
Yeah,
he's like just barely stepping.
He's just kind of like hopping around, has no idea where he's at.
Can't see anything.
After this car montage, when all this happens, I was like, oh, okay, this is a good movie. I like this movie. So Turkish just told me they are now at Boris's. They have, with Tommy ready to demand his money back for the defective gun. Suddenly, Boris, still very much alive and angry, walks by them. Tommy tries to talk to him, but Boris, like, then he just, like, grab him by the penis. And Boris walks in his house and grabs a giant Tommy gun.
Oh, gosh.
That's such a good part of this scene.
He's so pissed.
Yeah. Tony and Avi, trying to keep it cool, go into a nearby pub to clean up. Avi goes to the bathroom with the diamond. Tony goes to the bar and orders a pint. The pawnbrokers walk in masked with their replica guns and point them at Tony, who's very calm. They're demanding, they want to know where the diamond is, but Tony says that they're not going to get anywhere with those guns, considering the fact that they have the word replica
written on it.
written on the side. So
yeah, he gives that cool speech about being a cock and balls.
Yeah, exactly. And then he pulls out his gun. It's like, you may notice this gun's not a replica. It has the word Desert Eagle .50 on it.
Yeah. And that should precipitate your balls into shrinking along with your presence.
Yes, exactly. The pawnbrokers, they leave, but they meet Avi in the hall when he comes out of the bathroom, and he has the briefcase. And Avi, not knowing that they're replica guns, they point the guns at him and demand the diamond. Avi says that they're going to shoot him. Suddenly,
like,
Boris enters with his assault rifle, and he's about to shoot everyone. Oh, I love it. It's getting so chaotic. It's great. Tony in the other room, he can hear everything that's happening. The three pawnbrokers, they lock the door so that he can't get in. And so he yells at them to grab his socks, and everybody like just jumps down, except for Boris. And Tony fires just a bunch of rounds into the wall, and
awesome.
One of them hitting Boris. Vinny and Saul get up, grab the case, run, but they leave their boy Tyrone behind.
He got shot too.
Yeah, he ended up getting shot in the leg. Tony walks in the hallway. He reloads. Boris is still alive.
He's like,
shoots him like 3 times. Still alive. Shoots him some more. And then finally says, oh, come on. And just shoots him straight in the head, I'm assuming.
Actually aims. He's like...
Yeah. Tony also tries to shoot Tyrone, but the gun is empty because he's lucky.
You lucky bastard.
Yeah. That's so funny. Vinny and Soul, now that they have the diamond, are about to give it back to Bricktop when Tony suddenly appears. Vinny hides the diamond in his pants and tells Soul to tell Tony and Avi it's back at the pawn shop, which I don't really understand their plan.
Still trying to get away with it somehow.
They're just like, I don't know, let's see if something happens
buy some
between
time.
them.
Yeah, crazy stuff's happening.
Some of the weirdest things have happened. Let's see if we can continue.
Press our luck.
Vinny's dog. And they during all this, they made sure that they kept the dog back at the pawn shop in the office. And they tie him to the thing so he doesn't ruin anything. But of course, he tore up the place because he got loose from the thing. I think Avi's like, man, you guys live in a pigsty here. How can y'all get any work done? And it smells really bad, so they open a window.
Is it because of the dog or because they killed a guy?
I don't know. I think it's all of it.
Because he's in his body still there, the dead dude.
No, I think Bricktop took care of that, I believe, because he had like all the bodies. And Avi, so they open the window. Vinny says the diamond is missing. The dog must have eaten it. And Avi's like, just cut open the dog. He's like, what? What do you want me to do?
He's nice. What does
he say?
He's not like he's a can of soda or something. I can't remember.
And so he's like pushing on him. You hear this squeaky toy.
Like can of tuna or something
Yeah.
like that.
And then, so there's like a lot of commotion, and because they don't want him to kill the dog, Soul doesn't. So
The dog's barking. They're yelling.
yeah.
He's just squeaking and barking.
And then, so Vinny just finally gets in his pants and pulls out the diamond over to, and he's ready to hand it over to Avi. Avi admires the diamonds, but the dog suddenly jumps and he snatches it.
I mean, just start shooting.
Yeah. Obviously, he's just shooting everything, firing everywhere. The dog jumped out of the window, starts shooting at the dog outside the window. Avi's like, Tony, follow that dog. And then he's looking over. He's like, uh-oh. And then Avi's like, crap. And then it cuts to like, so when Avi came to London, there's this whole like series of shots where he like takes a drink, takes some pills, and then you see the plane flying. Yeah. And so after he sees that he killed Tony, the reverse is happening. Except now he's going back to New York. It's a really funny scene. And maybe we'll see it again later. So during Mickey's mom's like wake,
which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I always love this because that's the kind of wake I want. This when I die,
just party, everybody getting super
and
drunk.
This is what my mom tells me she wants.
Yeah,
I want it to be in a barn.
Yeah,
I think.
I want to be in a barn and everybody get drunk.
Yeah, just get wasted.
Yeah. So Mickey got super drunk. Turkish and Tommy go to wake him up, and he's like, "Can I have a drink?" He immediately starts drinking alcohol. And so they're getting him ready for the fight. Bricktop tells,
need to have a shite.
Yeah. Bricktop tells Mickey to do as he says, considering that there's a handful of men waiting for, like, at the campground where they're all staying, that they're all waiting there armed, ready to pretty much kill all of them if Mickey doesn't do the job. Mm-hmm. So Mickey must once again go down in the fourth. Turkish yells at Mickey not to knock the other fighter out.
Make sure he doesn't kill me before the fucking fourth.
Yeah. And like Bricktop has this whole plan where he's going to shoot them as they leave if he doesn't go down. He's going to kill all the people at the campground. And so the bout's about to begin, and Mickey, once again, he just opens the fight with like a crazy punch.
But it doesn't take him down.
And everybody's like, "Are you serious? Why would you do this? You saw what happened." But then they start fighting. They're like trading punches.
He's getting his ass kicked.
Yeah, he's getting the crap beat out of him. But you can tell, like, every time he starts getting his the crap kicked out of him, he's like, "God dang it, just gotta punch him again." And so he finally takes a really hard hit, and it knocks to the ground.
Yeah, it's super sweet when he falls into the water.
Yeah.
He's sinking.
Yeah, he's like floating in water, and then he comes out looking above to see himself lying down with the other fighter above him. And all he's got to do is stay down. But it's like this dope shot where he rises straight up to his feet and just whacks him. He knocks him out in one punch. Bricktop rushes out because everybody's pissed. He wants to shoot Turkish, Mickey, and Tommy. As they are leaving, Bricktop calls one of his men on the cell phone. We hear gunfire, and then he turns off the phone.
Ooh.
And he's like going into the car. He's like, "Here, give me a gun." And then we hear a gunshot, and it pauses, and it's like, you think that you know what you think you know what you're gonna. Why am I going Australian?
I don't know, man.
I had it down a second ago. But Jason Statham, his character is just narrating, essentially saying, it's like, you think you know what you're going to do when you're in danger for a split second, but actually you just freeze and make a stupid face like me and Tommy. It's like, but Mickey, he's got a normal face on. And we learn that
the twist.
We retrace everything, and Mickey was expecting the ambush on the campsite.
Yeah. And
everybody at the campsite surround all of Bricktop's men and just kills them all.
Hell yeah.
Just gets them. When Bricktop called one of his men, it was Mickey's buddy that answered and says that Bricktop is going to sneak up if his friend wants to hear him. And says that Bricktop is going to speak up if his friend wants... I don't know why it's written like this.
You have to talk a little louder if you want your friends to hear you.
Yes. That's the word. Those are how you say it. Sorry, everybody. Mickey's friend then shoots Bricktop's top man. The Some of the people from the campground are also waiting in Bricktop's car. And when Bricktop demands a gun, one of them rolls down the windows and shoots him.
With a sawed-off double barrel shotgun.
That guy's blown away.
They are gone.
And then Mickey takes off with all the guys, leaving Turkish and Tommy a bit confused.
Yeah, they somehow came out scot-clean.
Yeah.
Of everything.
But they do say, it's like, well, now we're in really big trouble. It's like, I don't know. I think because you're going to have all these people coming for you for the money that Bricktop was supposed to be giving them, probably.
It's so complicated.
So the next day, Turkish and Tommy go to the campsite to find it's completely abandoned. Like, everything's just gone. And they left in the middle of the night. And they're just kind of walking around, and some police officers arrive and ask what they're doing. And then Vinny's dog runs by, and they're like, "Oh, we're just taking the dog for a walk."
Come here, Daisy.
Yeah.
Tommy starts calling him Daisy.
Yeah.
Like, come here, boy.
He's like chasing him around because he's running away from him. And so he and Turkish leave, only to pass by Vinny and Saul. And so, like, their car's on the side of the road, and the police got them all out of it, and they're being questioned by the cops, and they have a dead man, a missing man with his arm in their trunk, where the arm is missing.
Yeah.
And Turkish goes on to explain that Tommy wanted to keep the dog, but Turkish made it go to the vet to stop the squeaking.
Yeah.
And then we're back at the beginning.
And then they found the diamond in the dog's stomach.
So they found the diamond in the dog's. And we're back to where they're sitting nervously with some unseen man, and Turkish is inquiring about the diamond. And the camera does a quick, like, spin, and you see it's Doug the Head. He says he might know someone interested in it. And then we cut back to Avi getting back on a plane to London, doing his whole thing. And it ends with a stamp on his passport that says the end.
Yeah. That's super sweet. I loved it.
That was so great, man. That movie ruled. So how many... what should we do the rating for this one? How many dags do you give this movie?
Dags?
How many dags do you give it?
I gotta give it 5 dags.
I'll give it... I think... I'll give it 4 dags.
You could give it diamonds.
I'll give it 4 dags.
I like that.
I mean, it's no
Diamond
point.
Dags.
It's no Point Break, which would get 4 which would get 5 throwing dags.
Maybe Patrick Swayze had some sort of insight about dogs that love to eat diamonds.
So really, actually, whenever he took the 50-year storm, and he like falls into the water in Point Break, he actually lived and just went to go to London and lived with these guys.
Sweet.
Just throwing dags everywhere. Where's Brody? We need the guy that throws dags. We got to fight.
He would fit in well with the Vikings.
Yeah. So we'll do our first category, the good, the bad, the ugly. It's where we talk about what's the best scene, the good, what's the worst part of the movie, the bad, and what's the ugly, which is something that didn't age well. So what is the good for you? What about this movie is good for you?
All of it. Maybe, I don't know. I really loved the parts where the music would get real heavy and the action sequences.
Yeah.
That was sweet.
Yeah, that was great. Like all the fight, like the fist fights whenever like slowly the music swells. Yeah.
And the dogs, the coursing and the...
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
I guess for me, the good would be just like the kinetic energy of the movie.
Yeah,
It's just
always going so fast.
Like it never felt slow.
Never.
And it was just really well paced.
Yeah.
And also just Brad Pitt's great in this. I think he took some flack from critics about just having a so-so Russian or Irish accent or whatever. I was like, I don't know.
Who
It's
gives a
fine.
shit?
Who cares?
Like, yeah.
You can't understand the guy. It's not a real voice going on here.
It's a made-up dialect.
But no, yeah, those two combined and just, I don't know. I guess you got a young director. He's like young, hot director that's really...
Oh, he's hot, huh?
I don't know what he looks
How
like.
hot is he?
Hot in terms of...
Does he get 4 dags?
Being good at directing. So what's the bad? What's a part of the movie that you just maybe didn't like? Not ugly, but just something that
all the
wish could've
bad cuss words.
Yeah, apparently there was 100. I think there was like 120 something f bombs, and the movie's 102 minutes, so it's nearly.
That's so many.
It's like I think I read that was like 1.6.
No, that was hilarious. I think
every minute. I think.
Man, I guess just like just seeing some of the things that happen in the seedy underbelly, like the dog fighting, like was kind of weird. Yeah, it sucks to see that.
Yeah,
I guess
that's more the. I guess they can be like
pigs
more of the
eating
ugly.
people.
Yeah.
I think they're just really mistreating animals.
Yeah, that's definitely bad. I think
that can't be a healthy diet.
For me, the bad would just be, I guess, just the editing and how silly it kind of is. Right? It's very early 2000s type of editing where it's like zoom ins and like the spinning cameras. Even though I thought it was fun, it's just kind of one of those things that now it's
like
it's silly. It's definitely a time. I guess that could also be like something that didn't age well, but okay. So for me, the ugly would be just it just sucks that they just like,
that's
the
what
dogs
I
are fighting.
The ugly one.
Yeah, it's okay. No biggie.
Bad.
But yeah, I guess that just mainly the treatment of the dogs just didn't age well, which would never good in any age.
But they didn't really hurt them.
Yeah,
Not
no,
like
it's
in
fake.
that other movie.
Yeah.
Sold to children.
What?
Milo Notice, remember?
Oh, yeah. Where you talking about that? I forgot about that.
I meant to look up the name of that documentary, but I forgot.
So, next we do double feature. This is where we recommend a movie that to go along with this movie. I'm just curious if you have one.
I mean, I guess if you haven't seen Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, that's a good one to watch with this. It's definitely the same vibe.
Yep. To the point where critics were like, hey, this is another same movie.
It's basically the same movie.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Mine would be Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
We talked about it earlier. Definitely a lot of inspiration. This movie has a lot of, it's inspired by that movie quite a bit.
If you like a movie that takes place in one room.
Yeah. Exactly.
Most of it.
And it's about a heist, so I think it all works.
Yeah,
Quentin Tarantino,
cool.
You can't go wrong. I've actually only seen that movie once. Yeah. So.
Oh, we should do that one soon.
Yeah, I think we should.
Talk about how much we like the tip.
Yeah, right. So, you got any final thoughts you want to say about your movie here?
How old should my kids be before I show them this? Like, you think? When are they going to be ready for British violence?
Well, it's rated R.
I know.
I
don't have Roger Ebert anymore.
To be honest,
with
Robert,
I don't know what to do.
So
I think they'll like it.
I'm trying to think of.
I'm showing it to them today.
How old's your kids?
12 and 10 and 5.
12-year-old can watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm not a parent. I don't know, but I was watching movies worse than this, like when I was under 10. So
yeah. They know more about the dirty, scary things on the internet than I will ever know.
At least by 14, they should be able to watch it. I mean, come on. Sneaking in theaters watching movies I shouldn't have at that age, I feel like. I think it was like 15 when I saw Saw 3 in theaters. Was that 15? I can't remember. Who cares? No one cares, right? And so next week, we're doing something a little different because this is a movie I really want to watch. I don't know. It's got good reviews.
I love Wes Anderson.
It's by Wes Anderson, who's great. But me and Jason have never seen it. So next week, it's going to be an episode of Do We Recommend? Because next week, we are going to be talking about Asteroid City, Wes Anderson's newest movie starring every actor on the planet.
Yeah, can't wait.
And if you haven't seen any Wes Anderson movie, definitely check it out. And if you got time to watch a couple movies, maybe watch one of his other ones. I would say probably The Royal Tenenbaums.
Well, yeah, that
one's great.
The Grand Budapest Hotel, amazing.
I actually did kind of plan that I was going to do a Wes Anderson movie soon. And I was like, ooh, it's on Peacock. So everybody should be able to watch it because most people, I'd assume, maybe have Peacock. I don't know. I have everything, so it doesn't matter. So yeah, next week, Wes Anderson's Asteroid City. I can't wait. And so I guess we'll wrap it up, right? Unless you got anything else to say? Or I can go into the whole outro.
Sure.
I would like to thank Joey Prosser for our intro and outro song. You can follow him on X. So lame to call it X. at Mr. Joey Prosser.
Can we say formerly known as X or as Twitter?
X, formerly known as Twitter. You can follow us. We have an Instagram, TikTok, and an X.
Like Prince.
Formerly known as TikTok or Twitter.
Just the sign.
You can go to our link tree. It's like linktree/ We Recommend Podcast, and you can listen to us we're on everything. You can just click listen here and find whatever app you want to listen to us on. And you can also follow us on, we have a little section where it has our Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Facebook, and TikTok. So follow us on that.
And give us reviews.
Yes.
Tell us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong.
And if you listen to us, follow us. Click that follow, subscribe. Leave a comment or two. Say, hey, great job. Or say, hey, bad job, but also give us 5-star review after that.
Because you're not a monster.
Yes. And you can follow me on Letterboxd at Jesse James. And we will see you next week on Asteroid City. This has been We Recommend. I'm Jesse.
And I was paid $1 to talk into a can.
Yeah, that was Jason. See you next week. Bye.